Composer William Walton said this. He said, "Refusing to let go of our unresolved hurts is like getting stung to death by one bee." And the great irony is revealed in this quote by philanthropist Dale Carnegie. He says, "When we continue to resent our enemies, we are giving them power over us, power over our sleep, over our appetites, our blood pressure, our health, and our happiness. Our enemies would dance for joy if they only knew how they were worrying us and lacerating us and getting even with us. Our resentment is not hurting them at all, but it is turning our days and nights into a hellish turmoil." And the interesting thing about Carnegie's quote is that the people who hurt us usually have no interest in being our enemy. There is a price that we pay for all of this. There's a price for holding on to this. And it's threefold. The first thing is time. I don't know what number I would come up with if I counted all the hours that I spent stewing, that I spent late at night ruminating, wrestling in my sleep, having that same argument turn around in my head. I don't know what number I would come up with for the number of hours from my life that I've given to that. But I do know I want that time back. The second thing that it costs us is baggage. We don't always notice, but every unresolved hurt that we have comes with the delivery of a package, a very heavy package that we don't want to open. And it sits right there in our consciousness. And if we still haven't opened that package in a week or a month, then that package gets carried into deep storage, into our unconscious. And it continues to take up room. And we pay storage costs. And what it costs us most is connection, which is the third thing that it costs us. Like many others, there was a time in my life where I wondered why I don't have all the relationships that I want in my life, why I don't have the depth and the connection and the intimacy in my life. Why didn't I have that special relationship with that partner? I didn't have it because there was no room. I had too much baggage in my psychic storeroom. When I decided that I really did want more love in my life, it took me a while to get all my baggage down to a carry-on level. It's one thing to ask a partner or a friend to carry a small bag on a journey with you. It's another thing to ask them to unload the baggage department of a DC-10. So let me offer some tips on forgiveness. And let me start with this one cardinal rule. Don't ever confuse forgiveness with permission to let abuse continue. Allowing abuse to continue is a failure of boundaries. It's a sign of codependence. And it is a failure to give yourself self-respect and the self-love that you deserve. Forgiveness is simply the letting go of the anger and the hurt once there is a reliable understanding that that hurt will stop. It is not an abdication of your own safety. Number two, forgiveness is never easy. It can't always be done all at once or right away. It doesn't always look like what somebody else makes it look like. It takes practice. Sometimes we need to take small steps. As C.S. Lewis said, If you want to learn about forgiveness, it's usually better to start with something easier than the Gestapo. Number 3, it's natural to feel angry. Don't deny the impulse to be angry, but don't get stuck there. Your anger is pointing to something even more important and precious. Remember the heavy packages in our psychic storeroom? Anger can keep us from doing what needs to be done, which is opening those packages and exploring them. Because beneath that anger, what it's pointing to are always vulnerable feelings of hurt and sadness and fear and doubt and old wounds. That's what's in the heavy packages. Our real need is not to be angry. Our real need is to unpack our hurts and to heal, to go beneath that anger and to notice the hurt and the fear and the betrayal and the abandonment and the neglect that has left an ache in our bodies. The real need is to touch that ache, to restore the tenderness that is our humanness, and to treat that tenderness with care. The 4th thing is to ask for what love will heal you. Do you remember last couple months where we talked about love in some sermons? One in particular about addiction. And I talked about David Rico's 5 A's of love, the 5 different ways that we can give love. Anybody remember those 5 A's? Attention, acceptance, appreciation, affection, and allowance, to help us find our own way to healing. Number 5, general rule of thumb: if it hurts, cry. Underneath almost all hurts is a natural tenderness that demands a willingness to grieve. Don't numb yourself with work or TV or addictions, because your body is too smart to let go of a hurt before it is healed. And that's usually because that hurt is trying to tell you something about a legitimate need that you have a responsibility to yourself to figure out how you're going to get. Number 6, don't isolate. You didn't get yourself into all of this pain. You had help with the hurts that you took on. Don't expect that you can get yourself out of this pain completely. Remember, always remember this: to be human is to be tender. Life and everything in it is impermanent. There is no protection that you can get, no insurance that you can buy that makes you exempt from pain or disappointment. The only antidote that you have is love. You were built from love. Your hurt came from love that you didn't get in the way you needed it, at the moment you needed it. So find a way to get that love. And always remember, you deserve that love. Yesterday was Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur is the holiest day of the Hebrew calendar. It asks us to seek atonement or at-one-ment with life and with others, with ourselves. It is about a restoration to our wholeness. It is about recognizing and returning to our built-for-love nature. It's about a return to our own humanness. The purpose of Yom Kippur is asking for forgiveness, but The purpose of asking for forgiveness is so that we can be forgiving. And by that I mean that we were given a gift of life that contained three things: a parcel of time that no one knows how long it is, a unique bundle of insights and gifts and wisdoms, and a heart that cares deeply about life and living. We are called to give those things away before our lives are taken from us. Our inherent purpose for giving is to make our lives bigger than they would be if we lived alone. Trying to spend so much time protecting ourselves only makes our lives smaller. And to believe that we are part of a life that is bigger than the one that we are currently living is a matter of faith. I want to share with you a little bit about what I've learned in reflecting not only this year on Yom Kippur, but my life in general, some of the hurts that I may have caused from hurts that I have felt. Forgive me for the times that I have failed in faith, where I have stopped giving of myself because of what someone long ago had stopped giving me. Forgive me for the times that I've acted hurtfully because I was caught up in the hurt that I was carrying inside. Forgive me the moments I withheld my affection trying to protect myself from rejection or misunderstanding, which I have always found so painful. Forgive me for the things that I hold on too tightly because I lack the faith that time or help was available. Forgive me for the times that I assumed too much control, trying to compensate for old fears of being out of control. Forgive me for disappointing you because I was so preoccupied with old feelings of being a disappointment. Forgive me for the times that I failed to have faith in the love that is in you and recognize your need to give it. And forgive me for the times that I failed to see the love that was in me and the part of me that is forgiving. Two young boys, out of their own darkness and pain, killed Everett Worthington Jr.'s mother. Everett Worthington Jr. lost a great source of love. He temporarily lost his composure. He almost lost his mind. But he wasn't willing to lose his heart. He wasn't willing to live a life that small. He wasn't willing to forget that his life was forgiving.